Are you sure?
Here's the 30-second lesson on what legends know. Never ask a bride why she's getting married. Don't wear a skirt on a windy day. Deodorant is not a shower. Don't sniff chili flakes. And don't forget, saving is not investing. Legends don't just save, they invest in mutual funds. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
Thinking about a subject for Cut the Clutter today, we were spoiled for choices. The Prime Minister is in New York, so that's the obvious one. That would have been an easy one to do. Then there is also this controversy over Tirupati Laddus. That has politics, that has religion, that has a lot of things put into it. So that is again a very fascinating story and a very complex one. So there is clutter there. And the third one is also this unfortunate incident that's happened in Odisha involving an army officer, his fiancée, and Odisha police. Again, there is a lot to talk about. But you know what we are doing? We are stepping away from all three of these and indulging ourselves. I'm indulging myself for two reasons. One, because I know you are forgiving, you are very forgiving. You let me stray into areas which may not be making big headlines and which may not be on your evening discussions, as I often do when I stray into Africa. And second, because it forces me to learn something new. One of the main contributions that Cut the Clutter has made to my life is that it's making me learn new things, making me more curious about things that I know very little about. For example, chess. Now, the last time I sat on a chessboard may have been several decades ago. Maybe I sat with my neighbor's grandchild a few times, lost each time. That's how it happens when you sit with a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old. But serious chess of at any competitive level, even with a friend, must have been in the mid-70s or early 70s. And why? Because that is when the Spassky-Fischer matchup. Boris Spassky from Soviet Union, Bobby Fischer from America, two prodigies playing in 1972, that had fired the world's imagination about chess. So that is around time I was in early college. I don't think I played chess since then. However, I've been watching, like any sports fan, the progress of Indian chess lately. In the progress of Indian chess, first of all, the progress became visible with the arrival of one Indian prodigy, that is Viswanathan Anand, who became world number one. He is also featured twice on Walk the Talk, and I will try to share those links with you. But now, lately, you've seen Indian chess really growing, and it is not now riding on the shoulders or the brilliant mind of just one person or two persons. Now, India has a lot of depth, and a tribute to that depth is the fact that India has just won in Budapest. In Hungary, India has just won both the gold medals. That is for the Open Championship. Open means where anybody can play. And second, only for women. So both Open Championship and women's, India has won a gold. This is not India's first gold. India also won a gold in 2020, albeit that was a gold shared with Russia. That was shared with Russia because 2020 was an online championship. Remember, that was the peak of the first wave of COVID and the whole world was scared and indoors. That championship ended up being shared simply because there was too much disruption, and Indian players in particular did not find it easy to connect and to play. So that's how that gold medal was shared. This gold medal, however, is fully India's, both gold medals, men as well as women. So before we talk more about chess, let me first read out to you the names of these magnificent men and women who brought this pride to India. That is D. Gukesh, world number 7. I will also read their current FIDE rankings from the FIDE website. FIDE is the International Chess Federation. Like many of these federations, it's based in a francophone location, in this case Lausanne in Switzerland. So FIDE would be Fédération Internationale de Chess. Chess in French is chess. I am listing these players who participated according to their FIDE ranking. So number one is Arjun Erigaisi. Arjun Erigaisi is number 4 in the world on FIDE rankings. Then number 7 is D. Gukesh. Number 12 in FIDE ranking is R. Pragananda. Number 24 is Vidit Gujarati, and number 41 is Pentala Harikrishna. One is a reserve. The team is 4 players, one is a reserve. Of course, Viswanathan Anand is number 11 in FIDE rankings. He was not in the team. Then there is the women's team. Women's team again, based on their rankings, D. Harika, that is number 11. D. Harika is Harika Dronavalli, D for Dronavalli. Vaishali Ramesh Babu is number 12, FIDE rankings for women. Divya Deshmukh, number 15. Tanya Sachdev, number 58, and Vantika Agrawal, number 75. So these are the world ranking Indians who brought us these 2 gold medals, which is a wonderful thing. And she may not be playing there right now in the Chess Olympiad like Viswanathan Anand, but there is also Koneru Hampi, who's the highest ranking Indian woman player at this point, number 6 on FIDE ranking. So that's a lot of chess power. And if you think this is not enough, I'll give you some more data. So India now has 85 grandmasters in chess. 85. There was a time we would celebrate if one grandmaster rose. 85 grandmasters in chess. Of these 85, 3 are women. Now, put this in perspective. To put this in perspective, I'll give you the total numbers. There is a total of 1,772 grandmasters in the whole world. 1772, of whom 41 are women. Out of these now, 85 are Indian grandmasters and 3 women, 3 of 41. Then international masters, that's the second category, international masters. The total number of international masters in the world is 3,893, of which 134 are women. India has 136 international masters out of these, and chances are many of them will grow to be grandmasters. These are very tough norms. They have to pass these norms and get there, but chances are many of them would, because they are growing. Of the 136 international masters in India, 9 are women. And again, there is a ranking of women grandmasters, of which there are 336 in the world. India has 18 of those. That's the ranking of women grandmasters. So India has a lot of depth and a lot of width as far as its chess power is concerned. So India has now become a real chess power which needs to be celebrated. I've only given you the names and details of the players who were contesting in this Chess Olympiad, and Viswanathan Anand and Koneru Hampi. But as I look at the FIDE rankings, I find more names. But as I look at the FIDE rankings, I find even more names. So check out this depth. Arvind Chedambaram VR at number 33. Nihal Sareen at number 59, a very young fellow. Among women, there is also Bhakti Kulkarni at 84. So there is a lot of people. I found another very Indian sounding name, Manish Giri at number 22. But as it turns out, he plays for the Netherlands. So once again, just as you celebrate your cricket stars, you celebrate Neeraj Chopra in athletics, you celebrate your wrestlers, let's also celebrate our chess players, because it's a cerebral game. You have to be nuts to be repeating that. But let me just say that it's a very tough game. It's also a game in which they've been very dominant powers for a very long time, and particularly the Soviet Union and the former Soviet republics. And that's why it was very difficult for players from other countries, particularly from India, to break into this. And that's where the rise of Viswanathan Anand revolutionized everything, because what did he do? Just as Kapil Dev did with his team in 1983 at Lord's, or MS Dhoni with his team in 2011 in Mumbai, or Saurav Ganguly with his test team at Eden Gardens 2001, Viswanathan Anand convinced Indians that they could be world beaters. And since then, there's been no stopping. So Anand became world champion, FIDE world champion 2000. He was world champion from 2000 to 2002. Then unified world chess champion 2007 to 2013. And it's in his wake that a lot of this other talent has risen. In fact, even now, when the International Chess Federation's assembly was taking place in Budapest on the sidelines of the championship, Anand, who's currently the vice president of FIDE, he presided over the assembly of FIDE at Budapest on the sidelines of the Chess Olympiad. Also because Arkady Dvorkovich, who is the current president, he's a Russian, he's a former Russian deputy prime minister, a Putin ally, he couldn't be there because Russians have been banned from competing in World Chess since their invasion of Ukraine. And just as their troops fight on the ground, Russian and Ukrainian officials and politicians have also been fighting a big, brutal power game in International Chess Federation, which gives us the cue to get into what seems to be our favorite sport, which is politics. In this case, international sport. So even as we look at this chess championship, we can't overlook the fact that Russia has been banned from it. And we'll talk a little bit about this politics because it's very important. Because Russia, the ban on Russia means a bit like you can hold an ICC World Cup, T20, ODI, World Test Championship, whatever. If you banned Australia or India, or maybe India or Australia in that order, how do you then hold a world championship? If you look at Russia and before that Soviet Union, this Russia is a successor state of Soviet Union. Since the Soviet Union first started appearing in the World Chess Olympiad, 1952 to 1974, they won every world championship, all 12 titles. So Soviet Union had a clean sweep over 22 years. 1976, once again there was politics. 1976, Soviet Union could not play here because 1976, FIDE awarded the hosting of the World Championship to Haifa in Israel. Now many countries in the Soviet bloc, led by the Soviet Union, and in the Islamic bloc, they boycotted that championship. On the other hand, they held their own little championship in Libya, in Tripoli. That was called, believe it or not, Against Chess Olympiad. So while there was a chess Olympiad going on in Haifa in Israel, there was an Against Chess Olympiad going on in Tripoli. There's an interesting little sidelight there. Soviet Union wasn't there. El Salvador won that Against Chess Olympiad gold medal. But that is the only time where Pakistanis got a look in. So Pakistanis won the equivalent of the bronze medal there, finishing at number 3. That said, 1978, the Americans won. 1980, the Soviet Union was back. And between 1980 and 1990, they won it again 6 times, all 6 times. And then now Soviet Union ceased to exist, but Russia was there as successor state. So 92 to 2002, Russia won it 6 times. And what happened after that? It was still the former Soviet republics. So see, after 2002, come to 2004, Ukraine. 2006, Armenia. Ukraine, Armenia, Armenia, Ukraine, Armenia. That was the next 5 championships. And then 2014, one more power rose. That is China. So 2014 and 18, the Chinese won the World Chess Olympiad. By this time, India was rising as well. And as we told you earlier, 2020, India became the joint winners. Now India are the winners. Now to understand the politics of chess a little bit better, because now it's part of the global power politics, because it's Russia versus the West. I'm sharing a couple of articles with you, one from BBC, a couple from BBC, and one from my friend and fellow traveler, limousine liberal, James Crabtree, in Financial Times. He has talked about how chess became internationally much more popular during the pandemic because people stayed at home. This is also the time when Netflix released The Queen's Gambit. So it gave chess, the game of chess, a new sex appeal. People were indoors and that brought about a boom. Now, that boom has led to the rise of India and China. In fact, later this year in Singapore, there will be the next World Chess Championship where 2 grandmasters from India and China will be competing, he reminds us. He also reminds us that for the longest time, World Chess, International Chess Federation, FIDE, has been controlled by the Russians. The power there has been with the Russians as much as, in some ways, power with the International Boxing Association has been with the Russians, whereby also lies a little tale on the side, which I will bring to you in a minute. He writes also how for quite some time, FIDE was headed by a nutty Russian oligarch, Kirsan Ilyumzhinov. Kirsan Ilyumzhinov was so nutty, he actually claimed that he had been kidnapped by aliens once, right? So maybe if he writes a book about that, Netflix could make a film on that as well. Now, it is given that Russian control and Russian power that the Western world also, while they banned the Russians, they are struggling. So during this edition of Chess Olympiad, again, the FIDE assembly met and there was a vote called. Kyrgyzstan moved a vote for lifting the ban on Russia. However, the Western powers, the others got in. Russia doesn't have that much support. So countries voting were given three options. One was a complete ban on Russia, no relaxation. One was a ban, but in consultation with International Olympic Committee, to which FIDE is affiliated, some concessions so children in Russia could participate and also vulnerable categories of people could participate. And the third choice was to completely lift the ban. So to completely lift the ban, only 21 voted. For a total ban, 41 voted, and banned with some relaxation for children and vulnerable groups in consultation with IOC, 66 voted. So they had the majority. India voted alongside them. Ukrainian chess president who was there, and he's an influential person in Ukrainian politics, Alexander Kamyshin, he's also a close aide of Zelensky. He was there and he made a statement that, look, all you guys have to think again before you even talk of letting Russia in. Ukraine has lost already 21 chess players in the fighting. That is how intense this politics gets. In fact, I can't let you go away before taking you back just a few weeks. At the Paris Olympics. At the Paris Olympics also, Russia was not allowed to compete. So Russians were told they can't compete, but they can compete as independent athletes. But as an independent athlete also, if you had ever supported Russia's invasion of Ukraine, you could not compete. And that's how one of Russia's topmost wrestlers, who was a defending champion in his category, that is 97 kg freestyle, Abdul Rashid Sadulaev, he was not allowed to come and defend his title. What did the Russians do? Some Russians, of course, came in as independent competitors. They won a gold medal as well in gymnastics. But just like the depth in chess that the Russians have, they also have depth in wrestling. So lots of Russian wrestlers then tried to go and compete for other nations. 6 of them won medals. One of them, Ahmad Tazudinov, he won the 97 kg gold for Bahrain, right? He wrapped himself in the Bahrainian flag. When the press later asked him questions, he didn't know a word of Arabic. He said, I will go to Bahrain because I won the gold medal for them. I will go there and then go right back to my parents, to my village in Dagestan in Russia, along with my medal, right? And also similarly, Razambek Zamalov, who won the gold medal similarly in the 74 kg category for Bulgaria. Now, this is the great Russian wrestling team, which won 5 medals out of 6 categories in Tokyo Olympics, of which 3 were golds. Russia is a real superpower in wrestling. Again, at London, they won 4 medals out of 7 categories, including 2 golds. Now they were not allowed to compete, but see what their wrestlers are doing. And these are not the top Russian wrestlers, because top Russian wrestlers will not go and play for another country. These are the B and C category Russian wrestlers. So 4 more who competed for other countries also got medals. That is Islam Dudaev for Albania, Sherman Valiev for Albania again, Doren Kurugliev for Greece, Magomed Gomedov for Azerbaijan. All 4 of them won bronze medals for their adopted countries in these Olympics. So that's the complexity that politics causes in sport as well. I told you about boxing as well. Now, you remember the controversy over Iman Khalif, the Algerian boxer, about whose gender questions were raised. She won the gold medal in her category. Now, International Boxing Association had banned her. They had banned her because they said she did not pass the gender test. However, the International Olympic Committee banned the International Boxing Association, and they said, look, we have no such problems. We go by the gender mentioned on somebody's passport. And that's how Iman Khalif was able to compete. Just as I had said to you earlier, International Boxing Association is also headed by a Russian. It's been controlled by Russians for a very long time. That's the reason we say that politics and sport always go together. But talking about sport and politics, I have to say something about chess. On both chessboards of politics as well as real chess, every move you make is a move to kill. Except in the game of chess, you can never kill your own. Not so in politics.